President Biden is nearing the end of his first 100 days in office. Political reporter Rick Albin talked with Chuck Todd, the host of NBC's Meet the Press, about the president's accomplishments and what could be next.
Let's talk a little bit about the discussion of the first 100 days for President Biden, something you're going to be focusing on. I know as you talk about it this week, we've seen a whole lot of executive orders, a nearly $2 trillion plan to deal with COVID that passed with no Republican votes, and a big infrastructure plan that's being discussed. It has not been an inactive time in D.C., has it?
Not at all. And what's interesting is the public's sort of digesting all of it. But you can see they've prioritized what they care about here. The president gets good marks when it comes to COVID, both on the financial relief and on the vaccinations. And in many ways, that is driving what are good first 100-day marks that he's getting overall. It's because he's getting terrific approval ratings on the issue of COVID. The COVID relief bill is very popular. And frankly, the infrastructure bill that was introduced, when you measure it, is largely popular. Now, it's when you get into the details, right? How do you pay for it? You see some red flags in the polling. On border security and immigration, he gets poor marks. On taxes right now, he's getting poor marks. But they're not dragging down his overall approval. The same independents that don't like perhaps what they're seeing at the border are still giving him positive marks overall because they're happy with the change in tone, his character, and of course, COVID. So there's no doubt the first 100 days and what he has in the he has gained political capital because of his handling of COVID. The question is, can he keep it up to get this infrastructure bill passed? I think the next 100 days are going to be a lot more difficult than these first 100 days.
Well, there was a time when presidents went through what we called a honeymoon period. I don't know if that's so true in recent elections, but in this particular case, there has been a lot done, but there hasn't been much done on the big stuff in a bipartisan way. Does that take a toll on this president ultimately? Well,
you know, it's interesting. You see it in the numbers. It could, okay? Basically what you have in the American electorate right now is you've got about 42% of the country, 43 already lined up against Joe Biden. And you've got sort of 45 or 46 that are with him through thick and thin. And Biden is the reason his marks are over 50, it's because of that slice of independence that's mostly with the Democrats on spending issues, mostly with the Democrats on some of these social issues, but are not with the Democrats, for instance, on immigration in particular. And so it is there that you're going to see the swings. It's this small group of about 15% of the country that really is not comfortable with either party, mostly respectful. They were pretty anti-Trump. They're the pivot group here. And the one place they're already sour on him is on border security and immigration. So if you're looking for where problems could arise and this becomes politically tricky for the Democrats overall, I think it's buried in immigration.
And I know you're going to be talking about the first 100 days. I'm getting ahead of ourselves, but that then becomes a weak point for the midterm elections, which are traditionally not good for a freshman president. So these are all things that you're going to be watching all through the next election cycle, I assume.
Oh, look, absolutely. And I think I think there are to me, the two big things that could arise here, right? We've seen this shift in the suburbs, and I want to connect it back to where you are in Grand Rapids, right? Kent County, to me, the avatar for the suburban vote shifting from R to D. Well, are the Democrats owning the suburbs or are they renting them? Well, we're going to find out. How do these tax hikes play in the suburbs? How does border security play in the suburbs? That's, to me, going to be the interesting test to follow in the next 18 months.
Be sure to join Chuck Todd for more about President Biden's first 100 days tomorrow morning on Meet the Press. He'll also talk about the impact of the Derek Chauvin verdict in